Mark this day down as the best or worst decision you ever made in your entire life. I started bawling my eyes out, and I went downstairs, I laced up my running shoes, I ran around the block. You don't understand how much I believe in you. You don't understand how big this is gonna get. We just passed over 1 million across all platforms, and it's all really exploded since February. Nothing happened. March, nothing happened. April, nothing happened. Most of May, nothing happened. And then
that was Sam Demma. And at 17, his dream of playing pro soccer ended due to injury. And most people's story would have ended there, but his was just getting started. And today, we're going to talk about how he went from feeling like a complete failure to over 1 million followers in just 6 months through the power of storytelling. Let's go. Sam, dude, great to have you in the office.
pumped to be in here, man.
Yeah, listen, we have got so many great connections and overlaps, but one of the things I'm really excited to speak to you about on this podcast as well is specifically like how you have been blowing up your Instagram and your social following. So I want to get into the weeds of that. But before we do, you had a total curveball thrown your way when it came to your career, and which has ultimately led you to what you're doing now. But I want to rewind and I want to talk about that because I think there's a lot of people watching and listening that could relate to having a curveball thrown their way, something completely unexpected. And for you, it was a total different path that you ended up following. So take us back real quick. What happened and what did you learn from this whole experience?
I grew up wanting to play professional soccer. I was so inspired by sport. My dad played hockey growing up. He put me in skates. I'd start crying. So he took the skates off and put a ball in front of me, and I would just kick it against all the furniture in our home. My mom loved it. That led to developing this passion for soccer. I pursued that for my entire childhood. 13, I was living in Italy for 6 months with a pro team.
No way.
Yep, thought I was gonna be the next Ronaldo or Messi or Andrea Pirlo, one of my favorites. And by 17, I'd sacrificed a lot. I was on one of the most competitive teams in the country. We'd routinely scrimmage against TFC Academy and other top teams. Had a scholarship opportunity with Memphis University. And then I had 3 major knee injuries, 2 surgeries, spent 2.5 years trying to get back on the field, and it just fell apart. I felt like I'd wasted my entire life. All my teammates have this career to show for all the hard work and effort and dedication and discipline. And here I was, knowing how much work I put in, but having what felt like nothing to show for it. I felt like I had this chip on my shoulder and I had to show the world that Sam wasn't a failure, that I was the person who I knew I was, this hardworking, dedicated athlete. I unfollowed all of my teammates.
Really?
Yep. I didn't want to see anything related to soccer, and it wasn't personal. And I wish I could sit down each of my teammates now and be like, I love you. Yeah. And I celebrate you still to this day. I watch you play. But in those moments after I stopped playing the sport, seeing anything soccer related made me feel like a complete failure. And I found that like distancing myself from the game for the first couple months after I stopped playing really helped me try and figure out who I wanted to be in the world.
What happened at that point? So soccer career is over.
Soccer career finished. I felt super confused. Didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Was very fortunate that I had an educator named Mr. Loudfoot, who in his world issues class was always talking about changing the world and being of service and making a difference. The quality he had that I think every teacher needs is passion.
Yeah.
He would walk to the middle of the classroom and yell at us, "You have the power to change the world. Like the power's in your hands." And we're like, "Sir, calm down. It's 9 a.m. Relax," you know? And he taught this lesson about a small, consistent action making a big difference. Go in the community, take a small action consistently, something great's gonna happen. That led to picking up pieces of garbage, walking home from high school, which led to a buddy stopping me. "Hey man, this is really cool. Why don't we get our school involved?" We start doing these Saturday morning garbage.
Great friend, by the way.
Yeah, Dylan. In his beautiful brand new car, baby blue Honda minivan, looking like an uncle of 12 kids. And yeah, we start picking up trash as a team. We invite people to help us. We did that for the next couple of months, continued it over the summer. And I was like, man, we need more volunteers. So we started doing speeches at local schools to recruit people. After doing about 15, 20 of these promotional talks, a principal pulled me aside. "Man, you have a little gift here.
Wow.
You should consider continuing this." I was delusional. I went home, I went on Google, I searched keynote speaker, and I started calling people. And 7 folks picked up the phone.
Wow. And who were you calling?
I called Juan Bandana. I called Fahad Alatab. I called Leo Barb. I called Wally Shaw. I literally, whoever showed up on results, I just called
These are
them.
all keynote speakers.
Yeah. Most of them had their cell phone number as the number on their contact page. I don't know who I was calling, but they all picked up the phone.
Okay, that in and of itself right there though, like so many people were like, would stop and wouldn't pick up the phone, but you're just like, listen, these guys are doing what I'm thinking about doing. I might as well just pick up the phone and see if I can talk to them.
I think that was one of the biggest gifts that athletics gave me was self-confidence. It's like, I'm gonna just try. I'm gonna shoot and see what happens.
Yeah.
Not only was I happy to like make the calls, people see the sold out shows now, but I started by speaking at 100 Rotary clubs. I went on Rotary.com and I punched in my address and it shows you all the Rotary clubs within 100 or 500 kilometers from your house. I emailed all of them sitting in a Pickering public library. Hey, my name's Sam. I'd love to come speak at your Rotary meeting. I didn't know it was 4 grandfathers on a Tuesday afternoon drinking coffee, but I went there and I put reps up, you know, then I joined Toastmasters and it was just like this. I took what I learned from sports and applied it to speaking.
Wow.
Put up reps.
What were you talking about?
At the start, I was sharing our little initiative. We're starting to pick up trash. We're looking for volunteers. Can we please have people come and help us? Until that principal was like, man, that was great, but can you speak for 30 minutes? I don't know what I'm gonna say for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I went home, wrote a bunch of stories down, went back and talked about a little bit more of my experiences, my challenges, overcoming adversity, things that I had personally went through that I thought might be helpful.
Were you comfortable in front of audiences?
I was not comfortable on stage.
Especially school audiences. Because like when I started my speaking career, I was speaking at high schools and colleges.
Yeah.
And dude, it is like a totally different environment. I mean, you gotta do something like pretty dramatic every 5 minutes or you've lost them, you know?
I still have the footage of one of my first speeches. I'm walking back and forth, like very uncomfortable. I'm sweating. I'm spitting all over the microphone. It's filmed upside down because the chaplain didn't know what he was doing with his phone. It was the start. I leave it up there for people on purpose because I want them to see what it looked like. You know, we are not great at things when we start them. But if we're courageous enough to keep showing up when we suck, at some point, it looks like we're talented and we're gifted. And that's the feedback people give sometimes to people who have succeeded now. But if they saw the first reps, they wouldn't say that.
So were you thinking the long game on this?
No, I wasn't. I had no idea what my future was gonna look like. I was just focused on taking the next step, building this initiative. My business plan was so simple. Pick up the phone, talk to 20 people a day. And in my reality, it wasn't actually the phone, it was filming video emails. So I'd sit at the library near my house with a little mini whiteboard and a black marker, and I'd write people's first names on it. And I'd hold it up and I'd hit record, and 3 seconds later, I would say, Stu, my name's Sam Demma. I'm doing a speaking tour in your community. I'm coming there May 2nd to May 7th, and I would love the opportunity to serve your school and students. Below is a video of me speaking. If you're interested and want to have a conversation, please reach out. I'd love to chat with you. And I'd film 20 of those. And sometimes it would take me 2 hours. Sometimes it would take me 4 based on how I was feeling that day. But I have the thousands of videos sitting on my Vidyard account. I didn't have haircuts. Like, these videos look atrocious. The lighting was terrible. You could see the erase marks on the whiteboard of all the other names that I had written that day. But I'm so grateful that version of me was delusional enough to believe that I had something worth sharing. And I was just gonna keep showing up.
Hey, quick thing. Sam's about to share the strategy that built his following. And I know you might be watching this somewhere where maybe you can't take notes. Maybe you're in your car on a run or at the gym. But listen, don't sweat it because I've put together all the notes for you. Everything from today is in a free resource kit linked in the description. So just follow along and enjoy the rest of the interview.
It was not working at the start. For every 1,000 people I was reaching out to, I was booking 2, 3 talks.
A lot of people would hear that. You're sending out 1,000 videos. You're getting a maximum of 3 talks out of that.
Yeah.
They're like, Sam, dude, what point do you just like say, okay, this is not working.
Yeah.
It's time to call it quits.
I genuinely just believe I had something that was important to share.
Wow.
I just believed I had something that was important to share. I bought into the idea that my age was my greatest advantage when everyone else told me it was my biggest disadvantage. I'm the same age.
Why did you feel that?
I thought I'm the same age as the people I'm speaking to. When I started, I was a high school student. Some of my first speaking engagements, some of the audience members were older than me, and they were my peers, my friends. 2 years into my speaking career, I'd speak at a university and then go out and like have meals with the people or go to the club with them. Like, it was a weird start, you know?
But you could relate and they could sense that.
Yeah.
You knew what they were going through.
And everyone else around me was a lot older. And so I just told myself, like, I got a market advantage.
Yeah.
Like, no one else has this market advantage. Like, I'm going to use it to my ability to connect with people and do a great job. The start was also not easy. I worked full time at the Keg as a busboy and then a host and then a server. And I worked the night shift. So I'd work from 5 p.m. until 1 in the morning. And it was a full-time position. I was working every day. But if I booked a speech at 3 p.m. or at 11 a.m., I could do it tired. Right. So I always tell people, you might see my journey, but the first 3 years I was a full-time employee at a restaurant trying to make things work and make ends meet. And those years were very valuable. They taught me how to communicate with people. I was in a position where I was talking to customers all day long. And yeah, I think there's just a period of suck in any business and you have to go through it. I remember when I was 19 years old, I made a decision not to join a speaking agency. And it was an individual who I had looked up to my entire 2-year span of the career so far. It was the person whose course I bought. And I flew to California to meet them. And after about a 1.5 to 2 year period of time, they were like, we want to sign you and put you on our agency. And I thought it was going to change my life. I had this goal written on sticky notes in my bedroom. They sent me the contract and it was this 10-page agreement. And it was a 10-year deal. 30% of everything I do for the next 10 years and 15% of book sales, and all your intellectual property is owned by us. Once you enter the agreement, you're just the author and creator. And I don't know how I had the foresight to be like, no, it just doesn't feel right. And I was still working at the Keg. I wasn't making much money. There wasn't bookings. And I called this individual and I told them, I'm not going to sign this contract. And they told me, mark this day down as the best or worst decision you ever made in your entire life. And I started bawling my eyes out, and I went downstairs, I laced up my running shoes, I ran around the block, I came home, and I called Lucas, one of my best friends. And I was upstairs standing in my closet because I didn't want anyone else to hear me crying. And I told him the whole story. And he was like, dude, you don't understand how much I believe in you. You don't understand how big this is gonna get. Like, I can see it for you. And he just for no good reason, just spoke life into me, And I still think about that conversation and how much it's fueled me and pushed me forward. Yeah, in moments where I'm feeling a little uncertain, I call people like Lucas to just pick me back up.
And it's crazy too, because we can be so fragile in those moments.
Yeah.
We can feel so vulnerable in those moments. And the right words from the right person can change everything. The other thing that I want to talk to you about that I love and appreciate about you is your just commitment to kindness and helping others. And one of the connections that we have is that you spent 6 weeks in Kenya. I just want to rewind, what took you to Kenya in the first place?
There was a young man who was blowing up my phone for 5 years. Sam, love your TEDx talk. You should come to Kenya. I was like, hey man, no. My mom doesn't even let me sleep over at my friend's house. It's not gonna happen. It was at the start of my speaking career. He found the TEDx talk I did back in 2018 or 2019 and just kept following me and sending message. And I noticed that he was doing speeches in local schools in Kenya. And he just kept persistently following up. Hey man, come to Kenya. I'm like, my mom's mind didn't change. He's like, give me your mom's phone number. I was like, that sounds really inappropriate. No. And we just, 4 years, back and forth. It got to a point where the business was starting to work. We were generating a profit. And very quickly, I made the decision, I want to do some sort of give back each year. So our first time doing a give back, we did a big donation at jack.org. And the second time we were doing a give back, I wanted to do something with our time. So we decided to self-fund this 6-week tour in Kenya. It was that message from this young man that really started the whole project. We hopped on Zoom calls for 6 months, planned out a 21 school voluntary speaking tour, did some fundraisers while we were there. There was a few stories that I've never shared, and some that totally shifted my perspective on life and just gratitude for what we have here. And
I wanted to ask you that. That's one of the things that I wrote down. What stood out for you from that 6-week tour that still sits with you today?
The biggest thing is that happiness, people that are happy are disciplined in happiness.
What do you mean by that?
They're disciplined in gratitude. They wake up and choose to look at the things that they're grateful for instead of all the things they don't have yet that they really want. I saw people that had so little but were so happy and filled with love and joy. And here I am back home reaching for this next goal and outcome, going through my days with a smirk on my face. I'm like, oh, we haven't reached it yet. We haven't reached it yet. I'm not there yet.
More.
Not enough, more. And there's these people oh, a crock. I'm like, what are we doing here? You know? I'll never forget, we rolled up to Cheptenye High School and we were set to do a tour of the school grounds and deliver a speech. We parked the car in the gravel parking lot and I see students playing soccer. And the principal noticed right away I was distracted. He's like, Sam, do you want to play? I was like, yeah, I do. He's like, go, we'll do the school tour later. 5 minutes later, my shoes are off, socks are off. I'm on the field, only Mzungu there.
Yeah, dude, I know that.
The whole perimeter of the soccer field had the entire school. I didn't play professionally, felt like a pro game. Everyone's watching. Every time I touch the ball, people are losing their minds. Who's this guy? Finish the game, head back over to the parking lot. We're about to get in the car. Young man walks up to me. Sam, soccer's been my entire life. It's been all my joy, my love, but I can't afford shoes. Can you please help me get a pair of soccer cleats? I'm like, Peter, easy. What's your size? Well, we'll get it taken care of. We start driving the car back to the hotel, and I'm like, what if we try to do something for the whole team? Over the next couple of days, we drafted a plan. We're going to launch a GoFundMe campaign. And we got this big white Bristol board and put it on the wall and drew a thermometer and set this goal to raise $3,000 so we could get them shoes, soccer balls, and new gear. We ended up raising $13,000 overnight. And the most pride I have for my career to this day is the pictures of all these young athletes with new gear on and the smiles on their faces and the joy that it created for them. And I think back to why did that all unfold? It's because I was present enough to pause and the team and recognize a need and recognize that we're in a position to fill it and do something about it. And the joy and significance it brought me is more than any achievement I have in my career, you know? And that was one of the stories and one of the observations I had about Kenya.
Well, a lot of cool things have happened for you. I want to talk about your social media.
Yeah.
It has blown up and it continues to blow up. I was joking with our team. I'm like, every time I check Sam's account and I refresh, it's like, boom, another 10,000, boom, another 20,000, 30,000. Like, dude, you just keep growing and growing. I'm like, man, this guy is on a roll. It is awesome to see. So you said that you made a shift mentally.
Yeah.
That you decided to become what?
Okay, so I'm gonna take you right back to the beginning. So 2 years ago, I read this book called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Hella inspired, messaged him, I'd like for you to coach me. He was just starting his online coaching program. He had 30,000 followers. I joined the program, there's like 50 people in there. I'm getting all this one-on-one time with Dan and the team, and I'm inspired. I'm like watching him do his thing. Fast forward a few months, I'm starting to get some really good results in the program. He launches a testimonial contest, meaning you film a little video by yourself explaining your testimonial and the best one wins a prize. And the prize is to fly somewhere with Dan and he'll like spend the day and teach you things. So I filmed this testimonial video and before I get a response, I get a message from Dan's wife, Renee. She follows my page and she's like, love your content. My husband needs to help you. And I was like, ha, it's funny. Like I'm actually in your husband's program. And Dan didn't know me at this point in time, really. I was just a member of his, I mean, he knew me, but we weren't friends. And she's like, my husband needs to help you. I'm like, I'm already in his program. She's like, no way. 15 seconds later, Dan follows my page, DMs me. Hey man, when are you coming to Kelowna? I was like, probably in the future when I win the testimonial contest, winky face emoji. He's like, stop playing small. When are you coming? Next Tuesday. So I book a flight, I go to Kelowna and I hike this mountain, have a conversation with Dan and go hit a CrossFit workout with his wife, Renee, meet her, tour their content studio, sat down in chairs like this, had a conversation and it just like expanded my mind. I was like, whoa, media. Like it's not marketing, it's about being a media company. Like shifting the whole way I think about the work we're doing and how we can reach more people and eventually fill these stadiums. I go home, nothing really changes. Like I'm kind of still doing the same stuff. Didn't shift much in my marketing. Fast forward a couple months, I win the testimonial contest. So I schedule this trip to join Dan in Austin, Texas to just spend 24 hours with him. And it was like 6 months in the future because we couldn't align schedules due to all the travel on both our ends. We go do this VIP day and Dan sits me down and he's just like, you have to go pro. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, it means time on your calendar and money out of your pocket. Me and Sam, his head of media, he said, we have a meeting every day and we review the videos from the day before and we make assumptions as to why they're working or not working and then we improve it. Are you meeting with your editor every single day to talk about the videos? I don't even have an editor. He's like, you need to have time on your calendar and you need to spend money. And I went back from that trip and I started the new year, 2025 in January. I said, this year is media. I'm going all in on media. So I hired a guy and he was going to move from Vancouver and he was coming to all my speeches, filming everything, shooting everything. 2 months later, he's like, man, being with you inspired me so much. I'm moving back home to start my own business. Don't. I was like, this sucks. So he left the team. Now I had a bag of gear that I had purchased. I'm like, what do we do now?
And where are you at right now at this moment in time with your, like, in terms of following?
We had just passed over 1 million across all platforms.
Okay.
So if you add them all up, we have just over 1 million, and it's all really exploded since May. It's just been 6 months. I made the decision after that guy left the team, we're gonna take this a step further. And we invested in a studio space. I invested in a full-time team member who was gonna edit virtually all of our content and now bring a camera to every show and film it myself with a volunteer standing behind it. That's really, I think, what shifted everything for me. Is I made the decision, like, this is what we're gonna do. I'm going all in on it and we're gonna figure it out.
So what's the difference between what you were doing before and what you're doing now in terms of going all in?
Yeah, intentionally having a meeting every day with the person who's creating my videos to both sit down, rewatch them and assume why it is working or not working.
Because you can tell after 24 hours.
Yeah, you can kind of gauge, hey, did this connect with people or not?
Right.
And what that taught us was that there's like little assumptions that turned into our editing criteria.
Like what's an example?
When we started a video with a location in action, I was in Sacramento on a plane. I was in a bus in Michigan. Like, these types of hooks work really well for our content, but we only figured it out because we kept rewatching the last ones. And so we have a list of them. If the video has a payoff, the lesson, make sure it's very short. For our content, we found that, like, if the story is the bulk of it and the payoff is really short, people watch the whole thing. If there's a story, it's bulk of it, and then we have this long takeaway, they're leaving after they get the first part of the takeaway. Once they connect with the message or the idea, they leave the video.
Well, the other piece of that too is the payoffs at the end.
Yeah.
That was one of our biggest lessons in our stuff, is like, I would often have the payoff in the hook and it's like, they don't need to watch the video. You already told them the thing.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
So I think the daily meetings to review videos was a big part of it. And the second one is I started shooting everything. I was like, I don't know when I'm going to create an amazing piece of content. So the camera has to roll. So getting rid of this excuse that, like, oh, I can't travel with my camera and set it up, had to go. I think those two shifts are what really shifted the whole trajectory. We also made a decision, we're going to post consistently 2 videos every day. My responsibility is to capture it. Matt's is to edit it and put it up online. That's what we did starting in January, February. In February, nothing happened. March, nothing happened. April, nothing happened. Most of May, nothing happened. And then close to the end of May, we had our first video do over 100,000. And we were like, whoa.
Wait, let's go back to that moment, because it is pretty legit, right?
Yeah. Well, Matt, my video editor, every day was like, it's not working. And I was like, it's gonna work. It will work. It's about to work. It's gonna happen. And I'll just keep, like, bigging him up, because how many videos did he make and none of them were doing anything? And then finally, boom, one of them hits and we're both on Zoom call, like, let's freaking go. We called it. We got 2,000 followers from this one. This is nuts. It's great. Stuff's going viral. And then I was like, oh, let's just do more of that. And that's what we did.
And so what does your content process look like? You mentioned that you were capturing everything. And one of the things I think is important for everybody to realize is that it's not all like super glam professional.
No.
So kind of speak to that for a second.
Yeah. So my job is to capture, set up the camera, capture the speech.
So you're speaking, you're delivering a speech. How are you capturing with the camera?
So I go to the event, I set up the camera, test myself on stage, walk back and forth, recording it a few times. Then I ask the event planner for a volunteer. They stand behind the camera, hit the record button, and turn it left and right while I walk. So I'm not paying someone to film for me. I'm asking for a volunteer to help. My responsibility is to bring an extra backpack full of the gear. Once we have the footage, I then upload it to Dropbox, organized by month. So you click 2025 and you'll see every month of the year. If the event happened in that month, you'll find a folder inside that month's folder with all the footage from that specific event. From that point forward, it's Matt's responsibility. Matt then goes through the footage and he'll timestamp the moments that he thinks are the best. And then he'll turn them into a clip. And then he takes that clip and he creates 3 different versions of that same clip with a slightly different start, a different hook. He then takes those 3 variations, puts them on TikTok. We call it TikTok testing. The one that performs the best is the one that we post across all other platforms. And then the end of the process is we review them. A day later or a week later, whenever we get to reviewing those clips, we look back and we say, hey, this one didn't perform, this one did. Why do you think it didn't perform? And we just continually add to our list of assumptions. And if the same assumption comes up 10 times, we start testing against it. And if we try something against the assumption and it works really well, we're like, oh, wow, maybe we're onto something that's going to be a part of our editing SOP.
I noticed earlier in our conversation, you brought up a story that happened recently.
Yeah.
How do you go about thinking about stories that you want to tell and share?
Okay, so right before this conversation started, I was like, oh, let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Well, this morning I made a list, right? Because I'm doing this podcast. I did a podcast this morning as well. So I wrote down TSN story Lisa, phone call Ronald McDougall, journaling, there's a difference between giving up and moving on, unfollowing my teammates, sold out show Calgary, Shohei Ohtani filling cups of water, secondhand smoke, secondhand friendship. The happiest people aren't lucky, they're disciplined and gratitude. So before I'm going to go on stage or go on a podcast, I'll write down a couple stories that I've captured over the past little while that I have never talked about that I think would be valuable for people. I think it's so important. If you want to go pro in media, preparation matters just as much as the money and time you put on your calendar. One of the other things we've done that's been super helpful is before I speak on stage, I drop down a list of all the stories, but then I brainstorm hooks. Like, what could I start this story with that might get the most attention when we post it online? And there are certain artists that might hear that and be like, that's crazy, you're selling out, like that's stupid. I just find it as a unique way to reach more people. I started the Ronald McDougall story by saying, I got one of the best pieces of advice from this gentleman sitting at a bar. That was intentional.
Number one, I love the intention. I love the process. The process is simple. You capture it, Matt edits.
Yep.
And that's a daily habit and a rhythm that you're both in.
Yep.
When you are going through the content together,
yep,
you've had a number of videos that have popped off that have gone super viral. What have you noticed about the content that goes viral versus content that doesn't?
One idea. Just have one simple idea in the piece of content. Not 5, not 2 takeaways, just one. And make it so simple that someone can watch it and go, that makes sense. Have a story attached to that idea. If you have a personal experience that involves you and characters, it makes it yours. Someone else might talk about the idea of being kind. Like it's not new, but no one's going to talk about meeting James Ware in the airport, who I gave a seat at my table and he happened to be the sales VP at Enterprise Rental Car for the country of Canada. It's like, now this little story about kindness becomes mine and people are gonna build a relationship with me, not just the idea of kindness. So tell stories, have one takeaway, and test different hooks. I know I've mentioned this a couple times now, but we've had what we thought was great pieces of content and the one we put up did nothing. But then we put up a very similar video from the same footage with a slightly different starting point. Video goes viral. So part of it is not just the content itself, but it's having the discipline to test it. We've noticed high energy. If I'm having fun, which is like a funny little marker, but Matt will literally watch videos back and be like, you were having fun that event, weren't you? And there's other ones where it was my 4th one that day at a high school in a classroom doing a workshop and my facial expressions are just like, I look tired. Those ones don't perform as well. So my level of energy as a performer has an impact on the video itself. I think those are probably some of the biggest ones that we've come across so far.
Well, I love the way in which you're thinking about this and being intentional ahead of time too, because you're not just going into any speech or podcast or anything. You're intentionally thinking about stories that you can tell. And a lot of times, I know as somebody who gets interviewed, I love having at least a framework of, where I want to take the conversation and things that I want to bring up. And this is a perfect example. Is like, you got these great stories. And the thing that I love is you said, some of these I've never told before. And that keeps you and your content fresh, and it continuously gives Matt new material to be able to work with.
And it matters, especially if I want to build a long-term relationship with people that are going to come to our shows. I can't tell the same story a million times, but we do have something called default clips. So once something works really well, we add it to a little spreadsheet that's like, this story kills. And Gary Vee does it. Every person does it. Reuse it. Everyone else is not getting tired of your marketing. You are. Because you're like, I've already talked about this 10 times. People are still watching the taco story. I've told the taco story 50 times and they're watching it for the first time ever. So I think have a section of default clips once stuff starts going viral, and you can lean on those once a week. We have one video that involves a product, a book, and we didn't mean to do this. I told a story that involved my book, Empty Your Backpack, and it went viral. And we sold a couple thousand books on print on demand through Amazon. And I was like, we need to put this video out there like twice a month. I was like, because if we can keep that moving, the book's going to create a life of its own. And so that became a default clip, but that one's more of a business play, right? I just love the stories. Like,
Yeah.
I'm constantly looking for stories that I can share with others that have characters and a simple takeaway.
When we talk about content going viral, I know there's somebody watching and listening that is growing their business and they're thinking like, how's this going to help?
Yep.
I got to sell products and services. I got to sell programs. I got to sell coaching. I got to sell my membership, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Like, how is this going to help? How has the growth in social helped grow your business?
Content has changed my life, and it will continue changing my life. And it will be the reason we're able to fill stadiums a few years from now. I did not understand when Dan kept telling me, like, everything, go all in. Content's the thing. Media, you don't understand. It's going to change your life. I had no idea until it started happening. There was a day we got 21 booking requests. I'm independent of agencies. I couldn't even get back to them all in time. We routinely get 3 to 4 booking requests a day to go speak at schools across North America because somebody watched a video. We generated more income through YouTube ad revenue, Facebook ad revenue, and product sales through videos that went viral than I did in my first 2 years of speaking in the past 6 months. We didn't start putting out content being like, we're gonna generate revenue from the videos we post. We're at a point now where like we are making revenue from our marketing. We're getting paid to market. And I'm like,
What a beautiful business we're in.
This is nuts, you know? And I mean, the perceived value. I share my speaking investment fee. People are like, oh, that's it? But 6 months earlier, I'd state my fee and it was like, oh, I don't know if we can find that. And it's like, our brand's perceived value has totally shifted in the marketplace simply because of the reach and the following and the storytelling. I don't market myself in the corporate space, but I'm getting calls from companies and associations now who resonate with our values because I see it in the videos. We got our first international booking in Vietnam. I'm going to Dubai as well. Like, all from videos, you know? And the thing that makes me the most proud about the content is that my grandma watches every single one. She calls me after every YouTube video and she goes, Sam, they posted another video about you. I'm like, no, I'm posting the videos. It's me, you know? But it's giving the people around me more insight into who I am. I'm building relationships because of it. Like the list just goes on and on. I think it is the best investment of an entrepreneur's time. Make a decision. You're not going to stop until it works. If it doesn't happen today, it's going to be tomorrow's video.
Thank you so much for coming, for pouring into us, to our audience, and for opening up and sharing what's working. And can't wait to be joining you in your stadium with a sold out show. It's going to be epic.
Appreciate you.
That was Sam Demma. And if you got value from this, then hit subscribe because we got new episodes coming every Monday. And if you want to find out more about Sam, I put together a free resource kit with all of his info, show notes from today's episode, and a framework to help you turn your story into content that connects. Just scan the QR code or grab the link in the description. Now, next week, we've got Nathan Barry, and he's launched email newsletters for Tom Brady, Matthew McConaughey, Dua Lipa, and so many more. We're talking about why the smartest creators are now betting on email. Yeah, you don't want to miss that episode. I'll see you next week.